My career plans are kind of open-ended at this point. I'd like to be able to sort of get some teaching in as well as performing. The performance major really allows for that. You can go for education as well. That's more toward into the public school side of things, which I would not be opposed to doing. But I would also like to be more hands-on with whatever I decide to do. The dream would be to open up an art school. I'm also very involved in dance and theater. So to be able to have those kinds of things all sort of in one area that I can be passing down to the younger generations and kind of giving my knowledge is very valuable to me as well to other people. So. There are multitudes of possibilities for public school teaching of the handpan. I don't know of any that are up and running. I do know that the schools are very open to bringing new kinds of ideas and that type of thing in. A lot of the time there will be percussion ensembles that are taught there that are taught by outside people who just come in and say, hey, I have some time to volunteer or whatever. Is it okay if I get a percussion ensemble going? And they'll take the students outside of school hours and just prepare some pieces for their band concerts or whatever. So I know that those opportunities are definitely there. If I were to, or if anyone were to say, hey, I have this really cool instrument, is anyone interested? Whether that's getting students in or doing like presentations even, and sort of just getting that word out there about the handpan. I know the schools are very open to that kind of thing. Okay, so the first time I saw or heard a handpan, it was a YouTube video. I came across it, I must have been maybe 11 or 12. And I remember seeing the drum and going, well, that looks like a steel pan, but it's inverted, like what the heck? And so I clicked on the link to the video, and I remember hearing that first note and going, I need to get my hands on this. Like, this is something that would really, really interest me. So I took it to my mom right away and I was like, Mom, look at this really cool thing I just found. I want to get this drum. And she was like, okay, fine, we can try and figure something out, right? And doing a bunch of research, well, fairly new instrument, trying to get into that lottery system is astronomical and it's not even guaranteed that you'd get one. They're super expensive. My mom's like, this isn't a possibility. Like, I'm sorry, but it's not just something we can go to WordBrot and get, you know? And so, I mean, every year I was trying to find stuff around Christmas time or whatever, that maybe there was a deal somewhere that I could get. And every year that went on my Christmas list. I really want this drum. And then when Jenny moved to the area, then my mom saw the article in the paper that this Isthmus Instruments had opened up and that we were just starting to get some handpans out into the community and everything like that. And I think it was the prototypes that were being sold was what it said in the article. And so my mom and my dad talked and they're like, this actually might be a possibility, you know? They got in contact with Jenny. Jenny said to go ahead and that we could come in and look at some. And so they showed me the article. I think it must have been in end of November of the year that we got the handpan. And they said, we just saw the shop and do you want to go look? And I was like, heck yeah, I want to go look. Are you kidding me? So came in, tried out a bunch of the pans. All of them were just beautiful. And that was the first time that I touched the instrument. Then was in the Isthmus Instruments workshop, and getting to hear that sound and being able to produce that myself again was so awesome. At that point, then we had decided, you know, this is something that we're going to try to front the bill for, and it obviously very worth it with the quality of the instruments that were being made. And my mom said, so we're going to get you this instrument, but it's going to sit under the tree till Christmas. So we get it at the beginning of December, and it sat, and I couldn't touch it until Christmas morning. I must have played it for 5 or 6 hours that day after we got up on Christmas morning and got all that dealt with, but...
That's cruel.
I know. Like a lot of different sonic types of sounds. Kind of what I'm exploring right now in my musical training and everything else is how many different sounds we can get. And like as percussionists, especially in like not so much the orchestral role, but more of like an ensemble or chamber group or something like that. A lot of the stuff that contemporary percussion is like, here's a glass bottle. How many different sounds can we make with a glass bottle? And then we create a piece. So it's about finding those different sounds and those different things that people wouldn't necessarily go, oh, a classic snare drum or a marimba, like those sort of foundation of the percussion instrumentational family. The thing that I think draws me most to the handpan is just sort of that soothing sound that is produced. Like, I don't know that I can even really explain it, but that there's something about the tone of the way that the metal is tuned and how it reacts with the different notes, and how hitting the one note can make this other one bloom and sort of swell, but at the same time we can also hear the undertones of the bottom note or whatever. And just sort of how that all mixes together, and it's like a warm hug just coming out of the drum. It just sort of envelops you. It's just amazing. Yeah, so if you don't have any musical background or background in percussion training to begin with, the biggest advice I could probably say is just get your hands on the instrument. And especially if that passion is driven of, I just want to learn how to play this, or whether it's the sound or the feel of the drum or whatever, that will take you further than any sort of classical training will. Looking up YouTube videos is super helpful. There's a bunch of them out there. There's a couple instructional ones, but even just watching like the professionally recorded pieces and going, okay, what are they doing with their hands to get these different kinds of sounds, and sort of analyzing it that way. I haven't actually used any of them, but I know that there are a couple instructional like DVDs out there that you can get, which I've heard are super helpful for that kind of thing, and just sort of going slow and through the basics of the instrument, and kind of how to get different sounds and different tones through different hand position or different ways of striking the drum. Yeah, I myself, the way I self-taught was kind of a conglomeration of things. When I first came here, it felt very natural for me to sit down and play. That being said, having come from the background that I do, I'm very used to using my hands in that way. I've done other sorts of hand drums and that type of thing. So the feel of an instrument under my hands is very natural to me. After first getting it, the biggest thing that I did was just play. I didn't worry about trying to come up with compositions or trying to play something that sounded good or right. I just tried to figure out where things were, enough that when I sat down to play, I was able to go, okay, I want this pitch, and could hear it in my head and know what I had to do to hit that without sort of analyzing. Like if you have a piano in front of you, everyone knows where middle C is, and then you have to kind of go up from there to get the G or whatever, and you have to read the music to get those specific pitches, right? This instrument is very unique in that because there is sort of a limited pitch collection, once you're familiar with your instrument, you're kind of able to say, I can hear this pitch and I know exactly where that is. So you can create melodies on the fly because your ear is telling you already, this is the basic sort of pathway that the drum takes naturally by itself, and then I can hear all 8 or 9 pitches that are on the drum that I want to have in whatever place, and then we can switch them around and play the same thing over again. So it becomes a lot of just sort of listening to what you're playing to begin with and exploring, and then once you're more comfortable, then maybe start going, oh, I really like that lick, what was that? And see if you can remember what it was, go back and play it again, figure it out in a different context and maybe a different sort of composition, and then if you're interested in creating your own music, then that's where those licks and those different melodic fragments start to sort of come together, and you can piece together what you like and what you hear.